But we want to kick this half an hour off with Boeing. The company is set to drag the Dow this morning due to its exposure in China. Plus, there was a major admission over the weekend. Boeing reportedly knew about the problems with the 737 MAX safety alert system for a year before telling the FAA and the airlines. I spoke with Boeing CEO Dennis Muilenburg back in November after the Lion Air crash in Indonesia, before the Ethiopian air crash had occurred. Here's what he said about safety at Boeing.
The 737 MAX is safe, and the safety is a core value for us at Boeing. It always has been, and we ensure that our airplanes are safe. In fact, this airplane went through thousands of hours of test and evaluation, certification, working with the pilots.
Joining us right now is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. We know what he said in November, Judge. Square that for us.
Well, we now know that their problems are potentially grave, both with respect to civil liability and criminal liability. We'll start with civil. The Warsaw Convention caps the maximum amount of financial damages that an airline or its carrier has to pay to a injured, innocent passenger. Lawyers for the passengers could argue that the caps should be removed because of deception on the part of Boeing. But the real problem, and I'm sorry to use this phrase, is criminally negligent homicide. There is a potential for prosecutors to make that claim now. Here's the claim. The failure to comply with a legal obligation to inform the airline of a defect in the software when that failure arguably resulted in death is the definition of criminally negligent homicide. So Boeing's problems are quite serious.
But those are under U.S. law. Wouldn't
Yes.
the actions, if they were criminal, be in the jurisdictions where the quote-unquote crime took place?
Well, the crime, if it was a crime, would have taken place when and where Boeing was either manufactured or where Boeing's executives were when they made the decision, whoever made the decision. I'm not saying it's Muilenburg personally. There's no evidence of that. Where they were when the decision was made. But the United States has claimed something called extraterritoriality, meaning if there's harm caused in the United States to an entity or a corporation or a human being, even if the act that caused the harm occurred elsewhere, federal prosecutors can prosecute here. So I don't think that and I'm not suggesting that there should be a prosecution, but I'm telling you that there's a potential for one, and it would not surprise me if we hear soon that federal prosecutors have commenced an investigation.
So Boeing knew about the safety alert problem for a year before telling other airlines and the Federal Aviation Administration. And the problem at issue, and this is in the Journal story, with incredible reporting from
Yes.
Andy Pastor, Andrew Tangle, and Allison Sider.
Yes.
The problem kept a safety feature that was found on earlier models from functioning on the MAX. Though, quote, it isn't clear if the feature would have prevented either crash.
That would be the defense. Now, prosecutors would look at that defense before charging, because just like one of the comments made in the Mueller report, you don't want to bring a case unless you think you can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. So if there is a substantial and material defense there, that would be a defense on the criminal side. It might not be a defense on the civil side, where the bar is a lot lower.
Beyond a preponderance of the evidence.
Correct.
In civil cases, not beyond.
Correct. What did they know? When did they know it? What did they have an obligation to tell? Who decided not to tell? Those are all questions that lawyers for the estates of the passengers, or even Boeing's insurance carrier, Boeing's carrier decides to say, we're not going to cover you because you deceived even us, somebody is going to make those inquiries.